we're here with the Nintendo Switch. It is Nintendo's newest games console. It's out March 3rd. It costs just about $300, and it's a successor to the Wii U. But like the Wii, the first Wii was like unlike anything a game maker ever made before. The Switch is similar. It's a hybrid console mobile gaming system. What I mean by that is that you can both dock it to connect it to your TV and play on your TV, but then you can also grab the whole thing out of the dock, take it with you on the bus, on the subway, on the plane, and game wherever on a really nice, well-lit, beautiful LCD screen. So Lisa, like, you've been playing this a lot more than I have.
Yes.
I haven't really gotten the chance to play it at all. So what are your first impressions? What do you like about it?
Yeah, so I think having the portability is really key here because I have a Wii U and a 3DS, and they feel like completely separate systems right now. So I think being able to pay $300 for one console that does both is really cool. The one thing about using this in portable mode that makes it pretty different from the 3DS is, first of all, the screen is much, much bigger and brighter, which is great. But that also makes it a little bit harder to fit if you're carrying like a smaller bag or something along those lines. You can't slide it into your pocket the way you would with a 3DS. But the gaming experience is great. I've only played it for about maybe 40 minutes or so at a time. So I don't really know what like the extended gameplay experience is like, but it felt very comfortable to hold. All of like the joysticks and the buttons were placed really easily so that they're comfortable whether you're using them in tablet mode or on the TV, which I thought was great. And you know, battery life is to be seen, I guess. I've only played it for about like 40 minutes or so at a time, but the estimates say it should be between 2.5 and 6 hours, and some of the early hands-ons said it was closer to the 2.5 timeline, so that could be tough for people that want to play for a long time.
Got it. So
yeah.
one of the big launch titles for this console is the new Zelda game.
Yes.
What's it called again?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. We have that here. Why don't we boot that up and play that a little bit? We'll show you guys what the new Zelda game looks like.
Cool. So this is the Pro controller, which actually does not come with the console. But you can buy it separately. But as you can see, this kind of looks like an Xbox controller. It's the standard Pro controller, kind of like the Wii U Pro controller. But one of the nice things about the Switch versus the Wii U is that by default, you kind of have a standard gaming controller because you can take the two Joy-Cons and attach them to the grip, and that makes it feel much more just like a comfortable standard gaming controller that you're used to using.
Totally.
Versus something like a gamepad, or even the Wiimotes are a little bit strange to get used to at first.
And it feels like it comes down a little bit to personal preference. Like I'm very used to like the Xbox controller and the PS4 DualShock controller. So for me, I think it would probably be more comfortable for me to use the Pro controller.
Right.
And if I got the Switch, I'd probably get one of those too.
Yeah, so now we're playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is one of the launch titles that comes out when the Switch launches on March 3rd. So one thing about this game that is completely different than most Zelda games is that it's very open and the map is larger, so that should be a lot of fun for most Zelda fans that have probably been waiting for this game forever.
Totally, totally. I actually, like, I grew up with Nintendo consoles all the way through NES, SNES, N64, but I just missed Zelda entirely. I don't know why. But do you think like somebody who never played a Zelda game before would like this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a great, you know, I've only played a few hours of it so far, but it seems like it's just a great action adventure game. So if you enjoy games like Uncharted and that kind of thing, you just like that open world exploration, but you still have an objective and a mission. Anyone that likes those kinds of games would probably like this game.
So what's sort of the storyline so far from what you've played?
Sure. So Link wakes up in this temple. You have this device called the Sheikah Slate with you, and it kind of gives you powers, and it gives you access to certain shrines that are kind of dispersed throughout the kingdom. And each time you go into one of these shrines, you gain a new ability and a new power that helps you out during your quest. So, you know, as is the case with most Zelda games, there's a lot of puzzles, it's a lot of fun, you're constantly getting new powers, and it's really great.
Totally. And so this is really the big launch title that Nintendo is banking on to help sell this console, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Although this will also be available for the Wii U. I think when they originally started developing this game, they probably intended it for the Wii U. So if you already own a Wii U, you'll still be able to play this game. I don't know what it's like to play it on the Wii U, but it will be available.
Got it. And I think the other launch title that people are really excited about is 1-2-Switch, which is sort of a
Yes.
weird name. Unfortunately, we don't have it right now. But it's basically, it looks like a lot of mini games, almost like Wii Sports was with the original Wii. It's a lot of
Yes.
different, like using the controllers in weird ways, and you're like having like contests against your friends and stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so 1-2-Switch is a really interesting game. It's a party game. There's not really a whole lot you can do with it if you're not playing with another person. But the whole idea is that you're kind of using the Switch almost as, I don't want to say like a replacement for a board game, but it's not supposed to feel necessarily like a video game. You're not looking at the screen, you're looking at the people that you're playing with, and you're using the Joy-Con remotes to complete all kinds of weird challenges and stuff like that. One example is there's a game where it's kind of like hot potato, but with the Joy-Con controller, and there's a bottle of soda, and you're supposed to be shaking it up and passing it to the next person, and if it explodes on you, then you lose. So it's just like hot potato, but with
Yeah, it sounds
these
really fun. It also
controllers.
sounds, I don't know, like Nintendo's got this thing about reinventing video games, and like they try to do a lot of experimental stuff. Like the original Wii was so groundbreaking in that way.
Right.
And the fact that, you know, with 1-2-Switch, you're playing video games, but you're not looking at a screen, you're looking at each other. It feels very Nintendo-y in a way that like brings the social element back to gaming, and it's less about like everybody's looking at a screen, or you're playing online against other people who are in other rooms somewhere else in the world. It's about
Right.
like you're really interacting with like the people next to you and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. But one thing that I find a bit different about 1-2-Switch versus Wii Sports is that it doesn't necessarily, like Wii Sports was kind of like, hey, this is why you want a Wii. So you can play games like this that incorporate motion controls. You can simulate sports, but at home. It kind of brought this like arcade feel to like your living room. And while that is true with the Switch, since they do support motion like the Wiimotes, that's not necessarily, I think, why somebody would want to buy this console. I think the real like selling point and what makes it different is the portability. You don't have to buy a 3DS and a Switch if you want to have something that you can take with you.
Right. So you brought up the portability of the Switch. Why don't we show people how you can take this thing out of the dock and bring it with you and play it elsewhere?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
As you can see, it's really easy to kind of just take this out. There's no like tugging or anything that
Cool.
needs to happen. You
Yeah,
just
that was
kind
real
of,
smooth.
Yeah. And then
The sound is awesome coming out of there. It looks like the screen is about the size of an iPad mini. The controls are comfy. I think my fingers are a little too big for the shoulders up here.
you can tell that it is comfortable to hold, but it is very big in comparison to the 3DS or even the 2DS,
Yeah.
which is a bit bigger. So that might be something that Nintendo fans have to get used to if they're, planning to use this as their main portable console.
Totally. I could see it. It feels like it would be better suited to like long trips, plane rides, that kind of thing, more so than like daily like subway or bus commuting. Although I'm sure it would be fine.
So one perk that you get when you sign up for their online service is that they're going to be offering a free game download every month. It's unclear if you get to keep that game or if it expires after a month, but the way they kind of made it sound on their website is that it's all going to be retro games that they give you for free. So
Cool.
that's really fun. So now we're going to play a little bit more of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm going to pass it off to
Thanks.
Alex since he has not had the chance to play
This
yet.
is my first time playing this game, and honestly, I have like I said, very little Zelda experience whatsoever. So I have almost no idea what I'm doing, although that's par for the course for me in most situations.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this compared to previous Zelda games is that you can do more. You can climb things. Your weapons break, and you constantly need to pick up new ones, which isn't really something that was familiar from older Zelda games. There's just a lot more you can do in the world. It's much more open.
Do you think it was the right move for Nintendo to make this game for the Wii U and the Switch?
I mean, I think that they're kind of trying to please the Wii U owners that bought the Wii U thinking that a new Zelda game would come out. So I think they're doing right by the fans. But I
Sure.
mean, sure, they probably would have sold more. They probably would sell more Switch consoles
That's kind of
if
what I was thinking. If
you
this
needed to
is-
buy it to play Zelda.
Right, and just look at that. That's a really breathtaking shot right there in this game. And Lisa, you were saying earlier about the open world. You really get a sense of that.
The map in this game is huge compared to
The map
older
looks
Zelda
gigantic,
games. Yeah.
and it's the lighting and the animation in the shot is gorgeous. It's really some A+ work here in terms of design. So I know there was like a lot of conversation about the online mode. People still don't understand. Nintendo's doing a thing. It's like $30 a year, I think they said, and that's like the equivalent of like PlayStation Network or Xbox
Right.
Live. But I think, like, from what I can tell, it's still pretty open as far as like what it's actually going to be.
They gave very few details about the online mode when they announced the Switch. Basically, we know that it'll allow you to play with your friends online. Obviously, that's the main point. We know that there's an accompanying app that goes with it. So through the smartphone app, you can invite friends, you can set play appointments to play later, you can chat with them. It's like an online lobby sort of thing.
Right.
But we don't know much else about the online system or the app beyond that. We do know that it launches in the fall. There's going to be a free trial that rolls out when they initially launch the Switch, and then you'll have to start paying for it in the fall if you want to keep playing online with your friends.
Got it. Online has never really been Nintendo's strength, but it does feel like, you know, if they do it right, that would be a huge move forward for them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's kind of necessary if they want to continue competing with Sony and Microsoft, who already have, you know, playing online is already such a big part of the Xbox and PlayStation experience. It would almost seem crazy to imagine those consoles without that.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, Nintendo, in a sense, is playing a little bit of catch up here. So there you have it. That was a first look at the Nintendo Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm Lisa Edichico.
And I'm Alex Fitzpatrick.
Thanks for watching.